Today we're going to talk about AI. I've been mulling this topic over in my mind, but I've been kind of waiting to feel like, oh, I've really got it, or now it's time. And the universe, once again, delivered. Just as I was kind of preparing to do this video, an artist in my local awareness had some AI art put up under their name. I'm not going to comment on the artist. I more want to talk to the overall sense of how this story is being perceived. This artist found out that music was being put out under their name and it was AI generated. This feels like a no conversation topic, right? That's wrong. Somebody put out art under false pretenses using somebody else's identity and claimed it as something that it wasn't. So it doesn't seem like there's much of a conversation to have here. I think there's a huge conversation because while everybody immediately went to, this is terrible, that's been the only take I've seen on it. What I see is that this artist has had visibility on the national and I think even international stage because of it. Traditional media has picked up the story. This artist's profile is going up. This could be the best thing that ever happened to this artist if they decide to look at it that way. But what do we do all the time? We always go to the most victim perspective that we can. Oh no, this thing is taking something away from me. And this gets me to the whole reason I left the music business, the whole idea that I had this concept of an artist guide. Guys, what do you think an artist brings to the table? Do you think it's their 10 years of sitting in the woodshed learning scales? Do you think it's their knowledge of sidechain compression? Do you think it's that they've got a deep understanding of song structure and they know how to catch the listener and keep their attention? It's none of those things. And this is why I always became so frustrated. Everything about the system we've built turns art into a commodity so quickly that from what I've seen, almost every artist falls victim to it effectively right away. They immediately understand that they need to make something that's going to provide a living for them. So bring in the compromises, finding what the market wants, the accepted principles, bring in the rights and the wrongs. And that's why AI is such a gift for the artist, because it's really getting it down to the fundamentals of what is it that you have? What are you fearing? Do you really think a computer can make your art better than you can? It might get your sound. It might get your vibe. It might literally trick any listener into thinking it was you. But it's time we really start talking about what is it that makes your art great? It's your heart, it's your ideas, it's your emotions, it's your message. It's not the amount of perfection you have. This is why I'm so excited about it. We're finally going to start separating the wheat from the chaff. Every change has always been an existential threat. The printing press, recording of audio, whatever. It's always the most existential threat. That thing that we have, just like the current computer AI, that's just able to go through past information and come up with a projection of how that meets this future we're coming towards. That's what our brain does. That's what these computers do. But there's something missing, right? It's missing the humanity. It's missing. Doesn't matter what you call it, and it doesn't matter where you come in on the spectrum, whether you're religious, you're spiritual, you're atheist. We all know that there's something to our humanity that computers don't have yet. Everybody in the music business talks about their authenticity and their art and their creativity and being in flow. But guys, I was a producer for over 30 years, and I will tell you, when the rubber hits the road, all that shit goes out the window as soon as it comes to what does the industry and my audience expect from me. I have had projects where I am stoked. I'm like, this is cutting edge. This is going to be a big deal. I'm jaded, but this has me excited. And the project never comes to completion because either the artists themselves or somebody in their circle looks at it and says, well, what does this compare to? What is this like? Has Carrie Underwood done this? Has Sabrina Carpenter done this? So now we have an AI that can make a perfect copy of Sabrina Carpenter. We can have 800 Sabrina Carpenters now. So there's no point in being a Sabrina Carpenter. There's only one Sabrina Carpenter. She's nailing it. Let's let her do that. AI will never replace it, and neither will you. And then you can be the perfect you. This is going to probably finally put the nail in the coffin of me losing all my followers from when I was in the music world, because none of them are going to like this. But if you love somebody, you tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And we all want to hear how bad it is for us that we've put all this effort into becoming these great musicians and now AI just does it. That does seem like a pretty big hit, but it's really an opportunity to ask kind of a deep question. Why? Why did you do that? Why did you focus your attention on building the skills that you did? Because you wanted to, because they were valuable to you. And if you did them just because you thought that's what was going to be necessary because you felt obligated, this is a good lesson to understand. Never make a decision for that reason, because it never works. But if you did it because you took pride in learning that skill set and you enjoy it and it gives you some of the positive aspects of this identity that you've built, well, then you can still appreciate it. It's still something you have. It's still something that's special about you. Maybe you think I'm less sympathetic because I've already left the music business, but I've just gone through it too many times. Like when I was coming up, there was a half dozen clubs within a 15-minute drive of my country home that had bands a minimum of 3 nights a week. My whole teenage years, that's what I saw. I played guitar all day, every day. It was the only thing in my life until I finally got a girlfriend who was a singer. And then I started playing those clubs underage. And by the time I was actually 19, most of them were gone. That whole scene dried up. And then DJs start coming in and everybody in the band doesn't like the DJ, right? It was a preview for what I'm talking about now. It's an attachment to the skill set we've developed and a misidentification that it's the skill set and not the creative force, not the voice that you have to share. It's not the guitar scales I know or how fast I can rip them off. And if a DJ comes in and he makes a more enveloping experience for that audience, I mean, I can cry in my beer all day if I want to, but the audience has spoken. And guys, this goes for all of this stuff. We can't tell people they want what we have. We can't tell people that they should start coming out to clubs because that's the product I want to sell them. So this is obviously the 180-degree opposite of how pretty well everybody I know looks at this situation. So I expect a lot of you are disagreeing with me right now. I would suggest that you use this opportunity to see how that disagreement is making you feel. If you want to, you can make the case for victimhood and how, no, we're screwed and the sky is falling and the world is over. You can put that in my comments. It'll give me engagement. It'll help me. But I don't want to help me. I want to help you. And if you want to help you, you would understand that if this is upsetting you in any way, it's only because there's something for you to learn about yourself. Think about it and question it. Is that a helpful position for you to have on this? Because let me tell you right now, you are not putting the genie back in the bottle. Whether or not we're going to have it is not on the table. So months and months or years and years of is it good or is it bad is time you could have spent thinking, how do I make this work for me? How do I maneuver in this new reality? Because make no mistake, it is the new reality. So what do? Guys, you're gonna get tired of this because there's only one answer to everything. You allow and you accept the reality of your circumstances, and then you figure out how to work within them to the best of your ability. And once you do that without the I'm a victim drama that we all have to play out, you'll probably see that there's actually a bigger opportunity here for you. There's something new. I know we're nostalgic by nature, but if we had our way, we'd probably still be just sitting around a campfire chanting and hitting a drum, because I'm sure the first person that came up with a melodic instrument, it was sacrilege. So what we have to do, we have to look at what the reality is right now. We have to use AI to our advantage. We have to partner with it. We have to start realizing our own power to create our own reality, and to see that everything around us can be used for our benefit, and be excited that it's a new adventure. I know some of us have our favorite movie or our favorite sitcoms and we watch them over and over, but at some point we want to see something new. We need something new. We are here to have experiences and expand and grow and to become everything we can. And we don't do that by doing the same thing over and over again. I share this story a lot, but one time I was running from a gig from one club to another one. And, I used to do this a lot when I was a full-time player. If there was a mathematical way that I believed it could work, I would just take the gigs and I would trust that it would work. And it worked out 99.9% of the time. So, yeah, so I'm going from this one gig at the bottom of the hill and running up the hill of downtown Halifax. And there's this group of like 10 girls. They're out getting ready for their big evening out. And one of them says, let's go up to this club, the club that I'm running towards. And I'm thinking like, great, this group is coming to the club where I'm about to play. Awesome. And then I hear, no, I don't want to go there. They're going to have a band. And that was the beginning of the end for me, because that's when I realized, oh, I'm holding on to the past here. Here I am. I'm thinking this is going to be my world forever now, but here's the new generation telling me they want their own thing. Every generation needs to put their own mark on this world. And it's not fair for older generations to start saying, no, you have to keep it the way I made it. Do you see how stunting that mindset is? I'm going to address this right now. Why do I use elderly boy? My whole thing is about authenticity, and I kind of go by this alter ego. The elderly boy is elderly. Yes, we grow and we learn and we get wisdom, and that is amazing and valuable, and we should keep gaining that wisdom. But it doesn't mean we lose the boy. We don't lose the wonder. We don't lose the excitement of what could be. As soon as we get to this is the way and no other way can work, I mean, go back as far as you want in history and think of where we should have stopped. No place before now was better than now, despite what we hear all the time, like, oh, the reason music business was so much better in the 70s is because music was good. If you're looking at the current music and you're saying it's not as good because they're using so much technology to make it, the heart's gone, you're really missing out. They're using the technology, but they're putting more heart into it. They're putting more vulnerability into it. Anyway, it's not an either or. It's always getting better if you keep your wonder and you keep enjoying it. You keep your youth. You stay young at heart. Always comes back to the heart. AI is already beating what we can do in our mind. And yes, we've put the intellect and the mind on a pedestal and we've acted like the heart is just a nice metaphor. But AI is going to force us to really acknowledge that there's a difference between the heart and the mind. The mind has always been artificial as far as intelligence goes because it doesn't know anything. That's why new things are so scary to us. So let go of your victimhood mentality. Tap into your true intelligence, which is your heart, your instinct, your individuality. Because that's something a computer can never do the way you can. I love you. Bye-bye.